We have this story from GBN. Eggs to be rationed across UK until spring 2023. Supermarkets including Tesco, Asda, and Lidl taking urgent action. Buy some chickens. I don't know if this is going to happen here in the United States. Probably not. We're a very, very big country. I think we've got more farmland than the UK. They're not as large. But the energy crisis. I'm bringing up the eggs thing just to be silly. It is a very serious story. But with what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. The latest report I saw was that Russia was pulling back missile batteries. And so they're expecting a barrage to come down, like a serious one now, like Russia's not giving up on this. And that just means it's going to get a lot worse. Now that the midterms are over and Joe Biden is done dumping strategic petroleum, the prices are going to skyrocket again. And now we're also hearing this. 25% of U.S. faces potential winter electricity outages. Fuel shortages have increased risk to U.S. power grid. So buy some chickens. Just a couple in the backyard, I guess, if you can. And, they'll eat the bugs, live in the pod, and they'll give you eggs. But I will just say right now, we're looking at home prices collapsing. People don't want to buy. Interest rates are going to go back up. Inflation's getting worse. Gas prices are going to skyrocket. The Band-Aid that they put on the economy to try and save Democrats in the midterms is now losing its effectiveness because a Band-Aid over a bullet wound can't do much for long. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, first of all, I agree with the buying chickens things. We've got them over in the UK, so I guess we'll be all right from the egg crisis that's coming, allegedly. But yeah, absolutely, it was a Band-Aid, as you said, and it can't do much for a prolonged period of time to deal with the really disastrous effects of the Joe Biden presidency that were just temporarily ameliorated by this injection of money. And people are going to feel it. And who are they going to blame? Because the media will say it's the Republicans. You should have voted harder. You didn't vote hard enough. So I don't know. How are people going to be able to explain that to themselves?
And also the Trump presidency from the lockdowns as well. We have to understand the lockdowns are still having a very severe effect on our economic way of life. There's even major shortages of antibiotics that people can't find in U.S. hospitals where children are left stranded and screwed over because they don't have the medicine because the supply shortages from that lockdown are still affecting our financial markets today, which is absolutely crazy. And I think we still haven't seen the rest of it yet. These financial consequences of just spending money, giving people $2,000 checks, bringing back the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't really reduce inflation, but spends more money on climate and other social justice warrior causes that Bill Gates spurs on, is not going to help anyone. We have to understand we're in for some big trouble, and there's no denying it.
This is kind of a segue, but Biden's 80th birthday is Sunday. And
happy birthday, Joe.
We did not get an annual physical released this week, which I find to be extremely annoying. I know that the Biden administration is not trustworthy, but at least pretend. I would have liked to have seen the report that inevitably would have declared that he is competent and healthy and good at stuff. Because at least then you are keeping up the premise that you have to pretend. I don't trust the Biden administration, and I am now concerned that they aren't even pretending to hide anything anymore. They are openly not talking about his health. They're not even walking through the steps.
Yeah, they're not even pretending the emperor has any clothes at this point. It's all... I guess everyone knows. Mm-hmm. Is anyone really surprised?
They're stuck, right? If they put out a clean bill of health, everyone goes, I don't think so. And if they don't, they have to admit that he's not going to run in 2024. And they're not willing to do that either. I feel like this is such a strange power grab. And I feel sorry for my generation and basically all Americans out there who are having to pay the price for this.
I'm sad for this country because we should be teaching our younger generation how to think critically and how to survive. And we've not done that. And now we have a whole bunch of whiny, woke, loser cultists who are like, I have to work 8 hours on Saturday. We need a union. And it's like, okay, dude. At this point, I'm kind of just like, take your cities. You can have them. I'm going to get away from the cities, move somewhere else, and just try and succeed. And I encourage everyone else to do the same. I'm not saying abandon the political fight. Quite the opposite. I'm saying make sure you are cleaning your room before you try to change the world, right? And then my attitude is your worst case scenario, if you get in shape, eat right, start, working on yourself, is that if it all comes crumbling down, then you'll be all right. You'll be okay. And the hipsters will be like, why can't we get avocado toast anymore? And you'll be like, because they're grown in Mexico in the winter and they ship them here. And now there's no energy because you're an idiot. You don't want to do any work. Fine. You don't get your avocados. I mean, man, look at this Twitter stuff.
The Twitter meltdown.
They're like, I worked 4 hours a week and Elon and doesn't want to pay me $500,000. And it's like, and it's I've said it before. If the American people knew how much money these like New York media people were getting paid for as little work as they're doing, there would be a revolution overnight. Working class people in this country do not understand. You walk into that Google office, these people are all six figures and they do nothing. I'm watching people like sit there drinking coffee, reading a book. I used to go there and, I'd be invited because I know people at Google. I'd be in their cafeteria. I'm like, so what is it these people are doing? It's remarkable to me that when I worked at O'Hare, I'm lifting 50,000 pounds of luggage every day for $10 an hour, struggling to make ends meet, couldn't afford it. And then when I walked in that Vice office for the first time, I just started laughing. I was like, where is everybody? And like, they work from home. I'm like, what? They publish like one article per week. Amazing.
Well, I want to go work at Vice. One article a week? Ooh.
There you go.
Well, they're laying people off now.
Yeah, there was that TikTok video that went viral a couple months ago, was it, or weeks ago?
Inside
where it
Twitter?
No, it wasn't about Twitter. It was about LinkedIn.
Yeah, right.
Where the woman is like, here's a day in the life of a 23-year-old whatever at LinkedIn, and all she seemed to do was sit around and eat snacks.
We were talking about the journalist yesterday. He was driving a Ferrari in a $5 million mansion, and we were Porsche. Excuse me. Yeah. I got the difference there.
Come on, Lewis, get it.
What's going on?
Listen, it's still ridiculous, and again, there is so much of these people that take so much for granted. They're so entitled, and we're so lucky to even be born in the United States. When we compare how we live to how the rest of the world lives, there's a big difference. If you travel the world, you see it, and it's shocking, it's terrifying, and to see people take advantage of that, and to see people just not want to work hard in this situation, not take all the opportunities presented to them, is just mind-boggling to me personally, at least. But I would never want to be at Vice ever.
They're pod people.
Yeah,
they're pod people.
They're NPCs. Like, look, good times make weak men. Yeah. You got a lot of people who are born into the peak of American gluttony. They do no work. They never had to work. They never had hardship, and now they're thrust into the world. And we used to say that these woke people got out of college, they're in for a rude awakening. We were half right. Most of them were in for a rude awakening, got really angry, and now are voting to make the world like their daycare campus. Mm-hmm. But we're also seeing funny videos of people being like, they scheduled me for 8 hours on the weekend. I need a union.
That's a great one.
8 hours on the weekend? Oh, heavens me. Wow, you have to lift a rock.
To Lewis's point, like, both of my... This is horrible. I don't know why we started this. But, like, I mean, I know you have a similar story, but both of my parents are immigrants. And I remember asking my dad once, do you ever wish that, he had opportunity to move back to England before they had kids. And I remember asking him, like, do you ever wish that I had your accent? Do you ever wish I was more in touch with that part of our culture? And he was like, no, we knew it was a dying country. Like, we left so you would have opportunities that we did not think you would have in the UK. Like, that was more important. And I think that is a perspective that so many people don't have. Like, they assume that things will always continue to get better and better. And when they're faced with challenges, they aren't willing to think critically about the sacrifices that have been made for them or that they need to make for their future.
Yeah, Gila is absolutely right.
Thanks, Larry.
There's a reason people in Poland literally have their own działkas. Działkas, they're called little plots of land that they have outside of their major apartment buildings where they just grow their own food. They also preserve their own food, can their own food. And growing up in Poland, it was routine during winter. Oh yeah, we make reserves and we have reserves that we could eat so we don't have to rely on the communist centralized government force that will give you a piece of paper allowing you a certain allowance of bread, of meat that you were given as a ration that everyone was allowed to have, which was absolutely crazy. You would have your own by being prepared. And I think with the government here becoming more centralized, that's something that more and more people need to realize, that at the end of the day, you are only responsible for yourself, especially when it comes to the larger crap storm coming our way that the government is creating.
Well, I feel like Leonard's right. You're responsible for yourself, but also you're responsible for your progeny and your family and your immediate community. Like, you choose who you interact with day to day. day and the impact that you have on them. Like, don't trust the government to make things better for you. That's what I don't understand about people coming out of college who are just waiting for someone to fix their problems. Like, that's never been realistic. I don't know what experience you had in life that made you feel that way.
It was crazy when I was working for a company. I had somebody fresh out of college, first job, and they were telling me, I don't know how to do this task. Someone needs to tell me how to do it. And my response was, well, just figure it out. And they're like, what do you mean just figure it? I need to be told what to do. And I was like, take the time to figure out how to operate the system. And then I had to explain to them, I was like, if someone else knew how to do it, they wouldn't have hired you to do it. But I get it. In college, you have a professor who tells you how to do things. That's not how it works here. You're hired because nobody knows how to do it, and it's your job to figure it out. Surprise, surprise, these people struggle.
Yeah.
They can't make it.
Well, I think they're living in a myth. There's something called the Whig interpretation of history that you may have heard of, and it does rely on this belief system that things are always progressing forward in an upward and onward direction. So we have more technology, we have more freedom, whatever that is supposed to mean under a certain circumstance. But because we have more of stuff, therefore everything else about society must be better. And it's, I think, complete bunk.
I talk about this too. People are like, this is the first generation where we're worse off than our parents. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, because my parents didn't have cell phones when they were younger. They didn't have access to the summation of human knowledge. They couldn't argue with strangers and look at pictures of cats, for better or for worse. And it was even really difficult to get TVs, very expensive. So if you wanted to go out Friday night with, grab drinks with your friends, like, good luck, try calling on the phone, leaving a message, otherwise nothing. So we do have a lot more luxuries that they didn't have. Now, that being said, because of these things, good luck getting a job if you don't have a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So now it's a necessity. It may be beneficial to you, which means we may have better things, but we don't have the excess cash to start families. Mm-hmm. So, the things you own end up owning you. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.